Here's my Ruggedmade 37-ton log splitter with a few mods that I've done to it. So starting back here with the hydraulic pump, this is the 28-gallon per minute pump. You can buy it right on Ruggedmade's website, and it bolts right up to the housing perfectly. There's no mods that you have to do to it to make it work. I did change the fitting. I went to a straight fitting here rather than a 90 because you've got 28 gallons per minute hitting a wall and then directly diverting to another direction. Anytime you can get away with not having a sharp 90-degree fitting in hydraulics is a great idea. A sharp 90 adds a lot of heat and resistance, which reduces your flow. You get a better overall performance by having 45s or sweeping 90s or straights are preferred if possible. Then you'll notice here I've got a dump valve plumbed in to the cylinder here. So there's a T. You can see I put a T here. This is the line coming in from the valve. There's the pilot valve hose that runs through here up to the front here where I did another T on that side of the cylinder. So when this sees pressure, it comes back here and it'll open this valve up to allow the fluid to dump out then through this hose and into the tank rather than having it all go through this hose here, back through the valve and then into the tank. The valves restrict the flow, and it'll also heat up faster if you don't have the dump valve. So we put the dump valve on to help keep the oil cooler with putting the bigger pump on there. And I'm also going to do the auto cycle valve, which I haven't done yet. But because I put the bigger pump on and I'm going to do this, I decided to add another hydraulic reservoir to the back of the log splitter. I bought this tank from Northern Tool and Equipment. You can buy them on their website, northerntool.com. And then I added another filter housing just so that there was the ability to have more flow through without any restriction. Because when you're retracting this cylinder here and you're pumping 28 gallons a minute into here, you're pushing out like 60 gallons per minute here. And I think these filters are only rated for 50. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to have an issue where we didn't have enough flow. So I added a second filter to the tank. And to plumb in this tank properly, if you don't do it right, you're going to end up with a big mess of oil everywhere. So what we did to hook this up right is I put so I got my inlet to the pump. Normally this goes to the pump. Instead, this goes from here to the new tank. And then you can see the filler hole here. I put a fitting on there and just ran a hose to the bottom side of the tank into the drain port here. So when I drained the tank down there, this tank is going to completely drain into this tank and then drain out. And then I put just a loop here, just a short hose to connect the two so that if this one's pumping all the fluid, it can push it through this filter too. So it's not having to go all through this filter. I threw a gauge on there just so I could see if my filters are getting plugged up. I didn't have a smaller gauge. I wish I did. I'm going to probably switch this out for like a 1,000 PSI gauge or a 1,500 PSI gauge so you could better see what pressure you have. You shouldn't really have any pressure here, but this will just indicate if the filters are getting plugged for whatever reason. I added another gauge here, as you can see, so I could see what my operating pressures are at. And then that comes up to here. We're also going to add a hydraulic wedge lift to it too. Once I do the auto cycle valve, we're going to reuse the old valve for hydraulic lift. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to make these guys longer. Probably come out to about 10 inches instead of just the 5. And then I want to build a 6-way as well that comes out 10 inches rather than just the 5 inches. And then back over to here, we have the log lift that I drilled a hole above and did the pin here, and I just cut this out, this part of the tube. There's a tube back here, and then this sheet metal wraps around that tube. So I cut this out, and then I just welded all the seams so that water wouldn't get in, and it makes it smoother. And I decided instead of cutting this shorter, I went ahead and just drilled the hole here, just so that you have just laws of leverage, right? If I have the pivot point here versus here, I'm less apt to bend this out down here. So that's why I decided to go up here with it. And then the catch tray I'm going to do a modification of that. Once I get this built and get the cylinder mounted, we're going to make it so the catcher tray folds up instead. This is the first time using it. I did all these modifications to it before I used it for the very first time. I'll show you here in just a minute a video of me running it. It runs quite a bit faster with the 28 gallon per minute pump on there. So hope you guys like this video. If you got any questions, hit me up with a comment down below. Be happy to answer them for you. Like always, if you like this video, you found it helpful, please hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.